Here's a question. Do you actually know how much you're paying for software every month? Not a rough guess, the actual number. I asked 3 founders last week, not one of them could answer. And when we sat down and audited their stacks properly, tool by tool, the average was just over £800 a month for tools most of them barely use. That's nearly 10 grand a year, quietly bleeding out of the business. And it's not just small operators. I came across a family office recently. They manage dozens of portfolio companies, and they started doing exactly this, auditing the SaaS spend across their whole portfolio. The number they found? Close to £1 million a year, gone to software. They've started replacing it with custom-built alternatives. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly why the smartest operators are starting to ditch SaaS altogether. Most founders build their tech stack the same way, one tool at a time. You need a CRM, so you sign up for one. You need project management, so you grab another one. Invoicing, email, file sharing, chat. Each decision on its own makes total sense. But guess what? Every single one of those tools is a single subscription. Every single one has a renewal date, and every single one assumes you're going to keep paying forever. So you end up in a situation where you're not running a business, you're managing a stack. And that stack is costing you far more than you realize. But why don't founders do something about it? Because the tools are already there, they're already set up, switching feels painful, and the monthly cost of each one on its own doesn't feel alarming enough to act on. This is actually a well-documented psychological phenomenon. It's called status quo bias, the tendency to stick with what you've already got, even when the evidence says there's a better option. There was a study in 1991. Researchers gave participants 2 health insurance plans, identical coverage, but one of them was set as the default. Around 75% of people stuck with the default, even when the other plan was objectively cheaper. Not because they didn't understand, they did. They just never felt the cost of staying put. Because the default never sends you a bill that says, here's what this is actually costing you. It just quietly renews. And that is exactly what's happening with your SaaS stack. The most expensive decision you will ever make is the one you never actively make at all. So let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets properly uncomfortable. The average SME is running somewhere between 8 and 14 tools. And when you add that all up, all the subscriptions, the CRM, the project management, the invoicing, the marketing automation, the analytics, the file storage, you're looking at anywhere between £600 and £1,000 a month. For a business doing $500,000 in revenue, for example, that's 2% of the top line gone. And the bit that really stings, a significant chunk of that, it's probably overlap. 2 tools doing the same job. 3 tools that nobody on your team actually uses. And the 1 tool you really rely on is only working because someone is manually copying data into it every single morning. You're not paying for efficiency, you're paying for complexity. And complexity that, if left unchecked, it compounds. Think about the last time you cleaned out a kitchen drawer, for example. In there, you've got a garlic press you bought in 2019, a yogurt spoon from a hotel you stayed at once, a phone charger for a device you haven't owned in 2 years, and guess what? A second garlic press. Where did that come from? No idea. Individually, none of it costs more than a few quid. But collectively, that drawer is a map of every small, it's fine, I'll just keep it decision you've ever made. The thing is, nobody throws away the garlic press, or the second one for that matter, because it's already there. The cost of keeping it is somewhat invisible. It doesn't take up much space. It doesn't hurt anything, so it stays. Your SaaS stack is a kitchen drawer, and you haven't opened it in months. If this is landing, leave a comment. How many tools are in your stack right now? I want to know. Put the number down. So the question isn't, how do I get better at using the tools I've already got? The question really is, what would it look like if I built something that actually fits my business? Because here's what's changed. 3 years ago, if you wanted custom internal software, you were looking at 6 figures worth of budget and a 12-month build. That was the reality. So renting made sense. You couldn't afford to own. But that logic is dead now. Using the tools we talk about on this channel, Lovable for the interface, Superbase for the database, NA10 for the automation layer, we can literally build out custom internal systems that do everything that your 10 tools do in one place at a fraction of the cost and in a fraction of the time. Now, I'm not talking about replacing every single tool overnight. I'm talking about starting with the one that matters most, the one that your team uses every day, the one that's costing you the most in both money and friction. You replace that one first, and then you start to see what's possible. That family office I mentioned at the start, they're doing exactly this. They've identified close to £1 million a year in license fees across their portfolio, and they've started building their own replacements. Not because they're tech companies, because the maths finally made sense. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Sean, this sounds like a hell of a lot of work. I've got a business to run and it's all too complicated. I mean, fair, but here's the truth. The work you're doing right now, managing 14 tools, having someone manually sync your data, paying for features you never use, that's work as well. It's just invisible work, the kind that quietly eats away at your margins and stops you from scaling. The founders who are winning right now aren't the ones with the biggest teams or the fanciest stacks. They are the ones who stopped renting their business and started owning it. So cutting the stack is step one. But once you've done that, the next question becomes, how do you actually build the thing that replaces it? How do you turn a fragmented mess of tools into one system that actually runs your operation? That's exactly what I break down in this video. I show you the bottlenecks that are quietly killing your capacity to grow and how custom software removes them without doubling your headcount. It's the logical next step after everything we've covered today. But if you don't want to wait, and if you want someone to do the audit and build the replacement for you, well, that's what we do at Foundana. Link is in the description. And if you want to learn instead and do it yourself, then go to Stack Labs. Stop paying the subscription tax and start building. I'll see you in the next one.